Alright, so we're starting a new unit, number 9, rational functions and relations. The first section is multiplying and dividing rational expressions. And the homework is going to be numbers 13, 15, 17, 21, 43, and 46. So those are the 6 problems I want you to work on. They go over the concepts of this. But the first page. So our learning target, I can simplify rational expressions and complex fractions. And then some vocabulary review. Rational expression, it's just a ratio of two polynomial expressions. So I gave you a little example, 1700 over d minus 33. This has one term, this has two terms. The second part is reciprocal. Remember, reciprocal is used when you're dividing fractions. The reciprocal of 2 is just a half. The reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. You're just flipping them. And then complex fractions are basically fractions that, like two fractions in each other. These are not, but something like 50 would be. So we'll talk kind of how you would go through something like that. But the biggest thing we're going to need to know for this section, this chapter, is all about factoring and then being able to cross things out. So if you look at A, you have 5x, and then there's x squared plus 4x plus 3, and on the bottom we have x minus 6, and then x squared minus 9. I can factor this. Every time I see this x squared, I'm going to try to factor it. So we have 5x, and then what two numbers multiply to 3 and add to 4? We have x plus 3 and x plus 1. Divided by x minus 6, that's just from there. And then x squared minus 9 is x plus 3, x minus 3. From here now, we're just simplifying. We're not solving anything. We're not trying to find out what x is. We are just simply simplifying. And here we have an x plus 3 on the top, and x plus 3 on the bottom. We can cross those off, and now we're left with 5x times x plus 1 divided by x minus 6 and x minus 3. And that's, you can leave it like that. That's simplifying. We can't cross anything else out anymore, so that is what we are left with. Going to B now. On the top, we can't do anything with anything. It's already in the factor form. But on the bottom, we can factor this, and this is y plus 2, y minus 3. Right, 2 and negative 3 multiplied to negative 6, and then 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. You can cross off those, and then notice there's a y on the side, there's a y here, so we can just cross those off, and you're left with 4 times y minus 4 over y plus 2. The last example, I'm going to cross this part off and give you a new one, and it's just 18x squared y divided by 2xy. And very simply, 18 divided by 2 is 9. There's 2 x's up here. There's 1 x here. So you cross the 2 off, and now it's just 1 there. And then the y's cross each other off, so you're left with just 9x. We kind of talked about this exponent rule with division before. You can imagine this is 2 and 1 here, so 2 minus 1 is just 1. Whatever way you want to think about it. Going to the second thing with multiplying and dividing rational expressions, we have this multiplication system going on. And what you do with fractions, right, so if I had 3/4 multiply with 1/2, you multiply across and you get 3/8. We're going to do the same thing, we're just multiplying fractions. So I have 12 times 14, a squared, b, c to the third, d squared. And then 21 multiplied with 8, a, b, c squared, d. I can multiply that, so I have 168, a squared, b, c to the third, d squared, all over 168. 21 times a is 168 as well. A, b, c squared, d. Now this is where you do some canceling as well, so you cancel here. You have 2 on the top, 1 on the bottom for a, so now there's 1 and there's 0 on the bottom. The b's cancel out. The c's, there's 1 left on the top, and the d is, there's 1 left on the top as well. And you notice you have a, c, and d left. All right. So again, it's a lot of this crossing out method. For division, every time you see division, you need to think reciprocal. And this is going to the top, this is going to the bottom. So you have 18x y to the third divided by 7a squared b squared, all multiplied with 35a squared b divided by 12x squared y. And then you do the same thing we just did in a. So you would multiply across. That's the idea, but really, yeah. Flip the page then. We're not going to do any of these examples. I'm going to give you what 42 is. I think it's the best example out there. So we have x squared minus 16 divided by 3x to the third plus 18x squared plus 24x multiplied with x to the third minus 4x and 2x squared minus, well, not 2x squared, just x squared minus 2x plus 8. So that's what you should have, x squared minus 2x plus 8. It's not really 42, it's 42 with a little star. I made it a little bit easier. But now, I'm going to go through the steps. It's all about a process, simply going step by step by step. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to worry about this top one here. I can factor this. This turns into x plus 4, x minus 4. Now I'm going to worry about the bottom. There's a cubed, but notice every term has an x involved, and they're actually all divisible by 3. So I'm going to take a 3x out. And so I have an x squared plus 6x plus 8, all multiplied with. And now I'm going to start doing stuff with the right stuff. I can take an x out here, so I have an x, and then I have an x squared minus 4. And here, I'm just going to factor this right off the bat. And I get x plus 2 and x minus 4. I have to get that negative 2 there, so the negative has to be with the 4. Bring this up here now. We have a couple more simplifying things before we can cross things off. So I have x plus 4, x minus 4 up here. I have 3x. Ooh, I'm going to factor this now. So I have x plus 4x plus 2, all multiplied with x, and then x squared minus 4 is just x plus 2x minus 2 for factoring, and then you have the x plus 2 in the x minus 4 there. So we factored this, and we factored this. That was our step that we changed. And now we're just crossing off what we know. So x4, x plus 4, yep. X minus 4, yep. X plus 2, I have an x plus 2 over here. You can go across to cancel out. Now, this wouldn't cancel out this, but this cancels out this. And then you have this x here. Those cancel those out. So now you're left with, on the top, just x minus 2. And on the bottom, you're left with 3 times x plus 2. And that's your answer. All this is seeing how well can you simplify and use fractions. All right. Now, a couple things. If this was division right here, if this was started as division, you would have to flip this so this would become on the top, this would be on the bottom, and then you do the exact same thing that we did. For 50, all this is a giant division problem. So this is our first part, this is our second part, and they're being divided. So what's going to happen is if you were going to change this around, make this correct, you'd have 2x squared plus 7x minus 30, all divided by negative 6x squared plus 13x plus 5, multiplied with 3x squared minus 11x minus 4, and 4x squared plus 12x minus 72. Notice this was on the bottom, but since we're dividing, it becomes reciprocal, and now it's on top, and now we're just multiplying. You're going to FOIL that, not FOIL, factor these, and then you simplify it. All right, but that is 9-1. Enjoy it. It's fantastic. It truly is an inspiration to math itself.